That the clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 48, offered by Ms. Frankel.
Ms. Frankel is recognized for an amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a very excellent common sense amendment. I ask unanimous consent the amendment be considered as read. This amendment is an authorization that requires no money. It strikes an old, archaic, 30-year-old language from law. I'm going to say that again. This is going to strike old, archaic, 30-year-old language from law, and I'll tell you what it is in a minute. As I'm sure some of you would agree, I know Mr. Webster does, Florida is one of the top travel destinations in the world. We have over 100 million visitors with a $70 billion impact to Florida's economy. And beaches play a very big role, not only for visitors, but for our shore protection, for protection of our property, people, and the environment. And for every dollar that's spent on shore protection, $5 are returned to our economy. Now, just like our northern states have to fix their potholes after every bad winter, Florida, constantly we have to restore our beaches. And what has happened in Dade and Broward County is that we have run out of usable sand to dredge off our coasts to put back on our beaches. We are depleted with sand to put back on the beaches. So what Broward and Palm Beach and Dade have to try to beg some of the northern counties for their sand, and they don't want to give their sand. It's like it's our version of water wars. We have sand wars in Florida. Now, there is a sand wars, yes. So but there's a very, very easy solution, and that is to allow the counties in the south part of Florida to buy sand from the Bahamas. Now, what is preventing that? There is language in a 1986 water bill that prevents states and local governments from exploring foreign sources of sand to replenish their shorelines without the Army Corps first certifying that there's no domestic sources of sand. So listen, back in 1986, there was a lot more sand than there is right now, and we didn't have the sand wars. So what this amendment simply does is strikes that language. And really, I mean, this I'll call it stupid language because it's stupid now, maybe it was good then, is seriously threatening the economy of South Florida. So I think that, Mr. Chairman, this is a good amendment, and I hope the committee supports it.
I thank the gentlelady. Anybody wish to be heard on the amendment? Mr. DeFazio is recognized.
Yeah. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. As we know, under the conditions on which this bill came forward, there are a number of issues which both sides had to take with a couple of grains of salt or sand in this case. And so the agreement was, should there be disagreement among four individuals, none of whom shall be specifically named at this moment, but who is not speaking at the moment, that I would oppose the amendment. This issue has been around for a while, and in the report of the Water Resources Development Act of 14, we directed the Corps to work with the state of Florida and the respective counties to coordinate their local needs. It's unclear whether this effort has been carried out or if it failed to accomplish the purposes the committee hoped to resolve. So before Congress changes the law to allow the importation of foreign sources of sand, the committee needs to be certain that all of this has been accomplished. I would urge the gentlewoman to withdraw her amendment and see what we can do in the interim before we go to the floor in terms of vetting this with the Corps of Engineers and trying to find out why this issue has not been resolved and the needs aren't being met.
Mr. Chairman, on the amendment.
Gentleman controls the time.
You'll back my time.
Gentlelady from Florida.
I'm supporting her withdrawing her amendment and working on the amendment between now and the floor. But keep it in mind, I am keeping a list, and it seems as if on the left we haven't gotten any amendments. Now, you are the most bipartisan chairman that we've had in a long time, and I want you to keep that star over there. And Florida is not doing well today under this leadership. And so this issue has been around a long time. I don't know why it's an issue. One of our partners and stakeholders is Bahamas. It's very important to Florida. So as we move forward, I am hoping that we take a serious look at this amendment.
I appreciate the gentlelady withdrawing. I think I appreciate being on the gentlelady's list. But I can assure you that Florida has done very well in the underlying bill. And I think Ms. Frankel will attest to that, and I got a list too that I can show you. But Florida's done very well. I appreciate the gentlelady withdrawing her amendment.
Thank you. I'm going to withdraw. I wanted to say, I think this is a very innocuous amendment, but I do appreciate all the good work of this bill, and I'm going to keep working on this.
Thank the gentlelady.